You always think a high IQ looks impressive, like someone standing in the center of the room, radiating confidence and solving life out loud. But the truth is much quieter and a lot more painful. True intelligence doesn't look like a trophy. It looks like a burden. When your brain is wired differently, it changes how you process every single breath of the world. It doesn't just make you smarter. It strips away your filters. It leaves you exposed. From the moment you were a child, you felt the shift. A subtle, cold distance between your mind and the world around you. You watched other kids laugh at things that made no sense to you, while you suffocated under the weight of questions they didn't even care to ask. They called you gifted. They called you special. But to you, it just felt like being locked outside a room everyone else was born inside of. A quiet exile you never asked for. Now you find yourself craving isolation, not because you hate people, but because your mind is screaming for a moment of silence. Your prefrontal cortex is constantly analyzing, parsing through every look, every shift in tone. It's exhausting. For you, being alone isn't a lack of friends. It's survival. You hide in the dark because the light of social expectation burns too bright, and it always has. Research shows that highly intelligent people actually feel less satisfied the more they socialize. Your brain doesn't recharge in a crowd. It finds its peace in the absence of noise, a peace that feels impossible to grasp. Every gathering is a sensory assault, an expensive cognitive tax you pay just to pretend you're normal. You smile, you nod, but inside, you are counting the minutes until you can escape back into your own skin, because your mind never truly turns off. It just won't quiet down. You lie awake at 3 a.m., the room heavy with silence, but inside your head, a restless, chaotic energy is tearing through ideas, rewriting old conversations, and mapping out 1,000 futures that will never happen. There is no off switch. You are trapped with a narrator that refuses to sleep, a voice that questions every choice you've ever made. Your brain isn't just fast. It's hyper-connected, pulling threads from every corner of your life all at once. Rest isn't a relief. It's a battleground. You remember the failures from a decade ago with the exact same vividness, as if they happened 5 minutes ago. The old embarrassments, the words you shouldn't have said, they don't fade. They just live in the background, waiting for the room to get quiet. And despite what people think, you feel absolutely everything. They see a cold, rational thinker, someone detached and logical. They have no idea. The truth is, you bleed internally over things others just blink at. A sudden chord in a song, an unprovoked cruelty, the invisible weight of someone else's pain. You carry an intense, raw, emotional depth that suffocates you. A glass heart hidden behind a stone wall. You've become so good at hiding it, so perfect at regulating the chaos, that no one ever notices. You learned early on that showing your depth makes people uncomfortable. When you cried too hard at a movie or cared too much about an injustice, they told you to calm down. They told you that you were being too sensitive. So you buried it. You locked the intensity away, leaving them with the safe, quiet shell. You're the one who is entirely comfortable saying, "I don't know." In a world obsessed with certainty, your hesitation isn't weakness, it's precision. You see the sheer, overwhelming, intricate nature of reality too clearly to pretend you have the answers. The less intelligent scream with absolute confidence, but you see the exceptions, the nuances, the gaps. To you, an opinion held with blind certainty isn't strength, it's just alarming. But that precision comes at a price. When you admit what you don't know, people mistake your honesty for incompetence. They choose the loud, confident liar over the quiet, careful truth. And you sit there, watching the world reward arrogance, wondering why you even bother trying to be precise in a world that only cares about who can shout the loudest. It makes you want to retreat even further. Yet, it's lonely at the bottom of those thoughts. So incredibly lonely. You spend your life looking for someone who can meet you there, someone who wants to talk about what actually matters. Instead, you get small talk. You get surface-level noise that leaves you feeling completely starved. You aren't arrogant. You're just quietly longing for a real connection, a single soul who speaks your native language. But the childhood trauma of being misunderstood has taught you to stay silent. You remember trying to share your world once, trying to explain the beautiful, terrifying web of thoughts in your head, only to be met with blank stares or uncomfortable laughter. You realized then that your truth was a burden to others. So, you learn to mask. You dial yourself down, you hold back, and you leave the best parts of who you are completely outside the room. That means your beliefs are never heavy anchor chains. They're just working theories. When the evidence changes, you change your mind, effortlessly updating your reality because you don't care about being right. You care about what is true. People might call it inconsistency. They might think you're unreliable. But they don't understand the brutal honesty of a mind that refuses to lie to itself, even when letting go of an old belief hurts. It hurts because changing your mind often means admitting you were wrong about something you built your world around. It means tearing down the architecture of your own ego. For you, growth is a violent process of constant death and rebirth. You are always shedding old versions of yourself, leaving you feeling perpetually raw, unsettled, and disconnected from any solid sense of permanent identity. So you default to watching. You observe far more than you ever say. In a crowded room, you are the ghost at the edge, tracking the shifting glances, the unsaid tensions, the subtle power dynamics beneath the noise. You see the whole picture before you even open your mouth. It's frustrating, really, because people assume your silence means you have nothing to contribute, that you're just shy or awkward. But here's the dark side of that observation. You don't just see what is happening now, you see where it ends. You read the micro-expressions of decay in a relationship long before the other person even realizes they are losing interest. You see the inevitable failure of a project while others are still celebrating its birth. You become a helpless prophet of your own life, forced to watch the train wreck happen in slow motion, unable to warn anyone because they lack the resolution to see the tracks are broken. And then comes the guilt, the heavy, paralyzing procrastination on the things that matter most. You can do the small, meaningless tasks with your eyes closed, but the project that holds your heart, the work that actually defines you, you can't even seem to start. It's not laziness. It's the crushing weight of knowing exactly what excellence requires. You see every flaw before it even exists. That gap between your perfect internal vision and your flawed, clumsy human reality paralyzes you. You care too much, and it freezes you completely. You look at the blank page or the empty canvas, and you can already taste the disappointment of your own inadequacy. So you wait, you delay, choosing the safety of unfulfilled potential over the agonizing reality of a compromised execution. And the guilt eats you alive. It leaves you restless, getting bored faster than anyone else around you. Your brain is a dopamine hunter, constantly starving for novelty, for an intellectual challenge that actually pushes back. When that challenge dies, the signal drops, and a physiological numbness takes over. You change hobbies, you change careers, you disrupt perfectly comfortable lives, not because you're ungrateful, but because your mind is desperately searching for the friction it was built to handle. This constant need for friction creates a dangerous internal sabotage. When your life finally becomes peaceful, when things are going exactly right, your brain begins to panic. To an overactive mind, predictability feels like a slow death. So you subconsciously start creating problems. You pick fights, you overanalyze a perfect moment until it breaks, or you walk away from people who love you. You break your own happiness just to give your brain a puzzle to solve. But the hardest part is the self-doubt, the persistent, quiet voice whispering that you aren't enough. People look at you and see someone capable, but inside, you are drowning in uncertainty. It's the curse of knowing too much. The more you learn, the more clearly you see the vast, uncharted ocean of everything you don't know. You hold yourself to an impossible standard, treating every minor human failure as proof of a fundamental inadequacy. This hyper-awareness turns into a quiet, hyper-vigilance. Because you can predict outcomes so accurately, you become the invisible caretaker of everyone else's emotional mess. You absorb their anxiety. You fix problems before they even realize they have them. You spend so much cognitive energy managing the world around you, ensuring everyone else feels secure, that you have absolutely nothing left for yourself. You are running on empty, and it leaves you carrying this quiet, heavy sense of not quite belonging anywhere, a subtle, ongoing awareness that you are permanently out of sync with the world. You're watching life through a higher resolution than everyone else, seeing details, connections, and depths that are invisible to them. It's a mild, constant displacement, like a traveler who forgot the name of their home country. And in those moments of isolation, a strange, dark envy takes root. You watch people find pure, unadulterated joy in things that feel entirely empty to you. You see them making small talk, watching mindless television, or living through simple routines with genuine smiles. And you desperately wish you could join them. You don't look down on them. You envy them. You realize that their ignorance is a beautiful sanctuary, a sanctuary you have been permanently evicted from. You would give anything to turn the resolution of your mind down, just for one night, to breathe without analyzing. But you can't. And because you can't, you realize that your mind has slowly become a protective fortress, but also a solitary confinement cell. You've built so many walls to shield your raw nerves from the chaotic noise of the world that now, even when someone genuine tries to reach you, they can't. You've optimized your defense mechanism so perfectly that you've accidentally locked out the very warmth you've been secretly dying to feel. At its core, a very high IQ isn't just about knowing more or thinking faster. It's about experiencing the full intricacy of the world with very little filter between you and it. It means walking through life with raw nerves, absorbing the beauty and the horror at maximum volume, while everyone else seems to have the sound turned down. It is a powerful, demanding thing to carry all by yourself, so you stay in the shadows, keeping your thoughts to yourself, protecting your energy like a finite resource, and nursing the old wounds of a youth spent trying to fit into a mold that was never made for you. You accept the quiet difficulties because you've learned that the alternative, trying to force your mind into a smaller space, is a slow death. You choose the lonely heights over the crowded valleys, even if the air is too thin to breathe. If you are listening to this right now, if these words feel like an echo of the spaces you keep hidden, know that the isolation isn't a defect. The anxiety, the doubt, the restless, late-night storms, they aren't signs that you are broken. They are just the price of admission for a mind that refuses to sleep. A mind built to go further, look deeper, and feel everything, all the way to the end.